to start off in the state camp?
Yeah, good bounce back day. Thought we had a lot more energy, focus just coming out to practice than we did yesterday. But that's a sign of a good team. Up and down, offense has good days, defense has good days. But was excited how they bounced back and came out with a lot of energy, a lot of communication, which is something we've tried to build on since last year, and thought they did a heck of a job.
How is your defense progressing just overall over the course of the fall here?
Yeah, there's still some new faces and some veterans coming back. We went into fall camp just like we did in spring with two main goals, and that's dominate the fundamentals and stop the run. And I think for the most part we've done a really good job of that. Guys are still learning what we're doing. We always talk about defenses knowing where your help is. So, man, not only do you have to know what your job is, but you got to know why we're doing it and who you're getting the ball to. So it's been a good process. We still got ways to go, but been happy with where we're at so far.
One of the things that Coach talked about in the spring that really stuck with me is he didn't care if somebody threw it for 350 yards on you guys. You guys were going to stop the run. Is that your guys' approach, and how do you make that a reality this fall?
Yeah, we'll load the box. We tweak some things schematically, to help us, condense the run lanes down in some areas where we've had some big seams hit us last year, but it's the same mindset. I told them the first practice, I don't care if these quarterbacks throw for 4,000 yards, they better not run the ball for 1 yard. So it's the mindset and the mentality, and obviously doing some things schematically to help us. And we've been working on it since spring and in the summertime and now through 8-9 practices.
Yeah, you guys did mention that after spring practices. You guys are going to look at what you're doing schematically, but that you're going to stick with the 3-3-5 system. Are there things you can do with what you've got within that system to improve your guys' performance against the run?
Yeah, it's doing some more things up front, creating a little bit more movement, which hopefully puts more stress on some offensive lines and doesn't give them free targets. And it's a matter of, being more physical, block destructing. Defense is still about running, block destructing, and tackling. And it's something, since we came back in January, we started tackling with no pads on. So just doing some things there out of our base and, probably a few more pressures to stop the run. Again, to create some more movement, some penetration, and try to keep offenses off schedule, get some more TFLs and sacks in situations where we know they're going to throw the ball.
Yeah, and the other thing Coach talked about was getting bigger in the offseason. You guys did bring in some transfers. Are you a little bit, more stout at the line of scrimmage with what you guys just did from a personnel standpoint? Yeah,
you like guys that are big. We brought some bigger guys in to help us. But it still don't really matter how big you are. You got to play fast. You got to play vertical. You got to do your job. And that's one thing. Even if you're a little bit undersized, is to strain and keep straining. But those guys that we brought in, obviously, when you have size, it's better. But those guys still got to be able to move and react. And it's helped us. It's helped us. And we got guys that are coming back that got bigger and stronger too, which also helps with another year in the weight program.
Do you guys still have a lot of confidence in the scheme and what you guys are doing schematically going into the season?
100%.
You're going into your first scrimmage of fall camp so far. What are you kind of expecting and looking for out of your guys so far?
Just keep doing what we've been preaching, stop the run. Same thing like we talked about. I don't care if these quarterbacks throw for 500 yards tomorrow. We got to stop the run, and looking forward to, the veteran guys coming back and getting a few reps and getting some of those young guys in there to see what they've learned and how they've progressed over the course of the last week and a half, and see if they'll run and tackle somebody.
Is there a certain unit you've kind of seen improve since the start of fall camp or even since spring that was kind of a position of concern?
I think across the board on defense we've improved, which is a great sign to this coaching staff. They do a hell of a job, with what they're teaching. Technique-wise and obviously the communication aspect with the entire defensive unit of how we're teaching the scheme, and they've done a great job. And, that's why I've seen every position group improve, throughout the spring and even in fall camp.
Have you had your eyes set on any of those position groups this week in fall?
Being a little biased since I coached corners last year, I always keep my eye on those guys a little bit. But, Coach Payne's done a great job. Man, the interior guys of the defensive line and, some of the things we've done schematically to try to help us stop the run. They've been doing a great job, and looking forward to see them again, man, being able to block, destruct, and tackle tomorrow, is going to be big across the board.
Yeah, and you mentioned some of those corners. I mean, you brought back Tejada and Thompson, two older guys, but a lot of the room is young. Who has kind of stood out at this point to you?
Yeah, they all have in their own way. We got the three guys that were freshmen last year that are back for another year, in Colin, Brian, and Taylor, and then our two true freshman guys, Gabe and Carey, have done an outstanding job. They're competitors. They run. They're not scared. They challenge. They can cover. So I've been pleased with that whole group.
Are there any other newcomers just across the gamut of the other positions on your defense that you've been impressed with early on?
Yeah. I've been impressed with all of our freshmen, because it's a unique defense and it's hard to pick up sometimes of what's going on, especially when the pieces move. But the young guys up front, Zaylon Scott, Matthew Reed, Jayden Williams, Nate LaPerry. All those guys have done a great job at the linebacker spot. We brought in Hudson and Materio and Cabrillo, and those guys are picking the scheme up and doing a heck of a job. The thing that I like about those guys is they play really fast and they're physical. Obviously something that kind of was our Achilles heel last year. The safety spots in Jaden Petway, Chris Gant, Jaden Smith. Probably the hardest position to learn on defense is the safety spot, but those guys have done an outstanding job, and kind of already talked about the freshman corners. Hopefully I didn't miss anybody, but been real happy with the way those guys have been progressing.
You've been able to go against Chandler Morris a little bit so far throughout fall. How do you feel like he's been able to kind of sharpen up the skills that y'all are kind of wanting to work on so far?
Yeah, a really talented quarterback. Man, he's got great arm talent. He sees the field. He's good with his eyes, manipulating our defense, especially in some zone coverage stuff. I'm glad he's on our team. I'm glad we don't have to go against him in the fall.
You have a long background for Tejada, dating way back to when he was in high school. What was that background, and how has he grown over the years?
Yeah, so I first met Ridge in 2019. He came to camp with us when I was at Iowa State coaching the corners. Had a heck of a camp, and actually spent some time with him and his folks after the camp. And, obviously what goes around comes around. A few years later, get the opportunity here, to coach defense and knowing, man, the first guy that I reached out to was Ridge, when I got the job here, just to, kind of catch back up on, his journey and what he's been through. So it was good coming into not having been able to coach the kid, but know somebody that was on the team that I, had a prior relationship with.
Yeah, it seems like he's done so much for this program over the course of his career. Is he really in a position to kind of leave his stamp on this place going into his last year?
He is, and I think the biggest thing about Ridge is he's going to leave the stamp on the football field, but he's also going to leave the stamp off the football field. What he does in the locker room, what he does in the classroom, is a testament to him and his work ethic and the way he was raised. The football aspect of things, but man, what a great human being, and somebody that you love to coach, and somebody that you love to be a leader of the program.
Now in your second year, Coach, you mentioned how you guys have kind of adjusted the way you're instructing your players to learn about this new defense. What are those kind of adjustments that you're making on the instruction side?
Yeah, not yell as much.
Yeah.
I think just the more that you're in the scheme, players and coaches as well, man, you start to learn what everybody's doing. And, we always tell our guys not to be lines on paper just because we give them an install and a playbook. Like, man, we'll give you a call. You go out there and execute, and align for success is what we talk about a lot. So I've seen the progression not only from the players but the coaching staff, man, and us just being on the same page about what we're trying to communicate across the board, to our positions and to our scheme overall.
What advantages does it offer you for the defense? Being a split second faster to reach your spots and understand the scheme better as a whole.
Yeah, it's the difference between a tackle at the line of scrimmage or something going for 75 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? Our run defenders got to defend the run, and our pass defenders have to defend the pass, and don't make it any more complicated than that. And our guys have done a good job of, again, it's the being comfortable in the scheme, getting your eyes in the right spot, and naming that play in 1 or 2 steps as opposed to hesitating and all of a sudden you're out of your gap or you're staring at the quarterback when you should be in man coverage. So our guys are getting to, what is going to make them be successful, and we're doing a better job of it from a player standpoint.
Speaking on your kind of personal experience now, and you're heading into the NC, what are the biggest lessons that you feel like you learned as a coordinator and something you worked on during this offseason?
Yeah, to be there more for the kids, to provide them with servant leadership, and I think that the blessing about, I do miss coaching a position, but the blessing about, not having to coach a position is I get to be in the meeting rooms. I get to spend more time, with the guys. They see me more, which I think makes an impact, on them, as well. And still holding them to the standard when the standard needs to be held to, and I think it's allowed me to take a step back a little bit and see the overall picture and not get focused on one position group. And I believe it's helped me, and hopefully in this fall it helps the unit.
And a name that's been brought up a lot this camp has been Jayden Hill and David Sproles. What have you seen from them in the safety position, and what do you expect out of them this year?
Yeah, just really good football players. Really good football players. Understand the game really well. They play, just like we've talked about, they play really fast, and they play really physical. That's the one bright spot that you see, from the safety position in the spring and in the fall. Man, we got guys that have contact courage, run down there and try to strike you every play. And those 2 guys are kind of in the forefront of that. And man, they're great examples of the type of player that you want to play those positions in this scheme.
You're just excited to see how it's going to come together tomorrow a little bit?
I do. We'll have plenty more opportunities. We're going to make mistakes. Like I get it. And we'll learn from those mistakes. But I'm just, everything that we have worked on since the end of spring ball, kind of comes to fruition again, and being able to, put the ball down and play some drives and play some plays and do some situational stuff. So definitely looking forward to how our guys will bounce back from today, and respond tomorrow afternoon.
First, speak on the secondary. You roll out those 5 defensive backs. How do you feel about the versatility between rolling out 3 safeties compared to 3 corners, and just the ability to switch around and the personnel we send out there?
Yeah, I think it keeps teams off balance offensively. Just the rotation, the way we can rotate the safeties, who we can blitz, just the different coverages you can run out of that look. And really the reason we do it, man, is confuse the guy that gets his hands on the ball every snap, and that's the quarterback. And we have guys in the versatility that, we could put more corners in the game. We could put more safeties in the game. We could put more linebackers in the game. We can put more D linemen in the game. So it gives us the ability to be multiple and, keep teams off balance, especially quarterbacks.
You mentioned that the safety position is one of the hardest ones within the system that tries to learn. What are the biggest strengths that you're kind of looking for your starters in the season?
Yeah. We need to be able to tackle better at that position. Because if we can't, a lot of what we do in the run game, we're counting those guys in the run fits, so they got to be able to get to their gap and tackle in space, which is really hard to do, and it's why we've been working on it for the last 8 months, and been pleased with how those guys have progressed. And, we always got to say you got to earn the right to defend the pass, so when we do that, man, it lets those guys cover as well, and we're able to get pressure on the quarterback up front.
All right, man. So how are things coming together here?
We've been out. One big thing that I've been seeing that everybody's been getting a lot closer. That's one of the big things. We got a lot of new guys and, getting to learn their names. Everything's moving fast for them, but there are a lot of, good dudes, and that's one thing I like about everybody. They all got a nice story, and just sitting down and talking to them is just, one of the best things that you can do.
Coach Caponix just mentioned how the safety position is, one of the hardest positions to learn in this defensive scheme. How do you feel like you've kind of adjusted so far? And
It's a lot of learning. That's what I would say. You got to be in the film room. You got to study. Coach Jennings, he be getting on us like a lot of the freshmen. We all sit in there for a little while, write our notes. A lot of notes, a lot of talking, back and forth questions, and I think it's pretty good. Like little things. That's one of the big things that he harps on. So that's something I'm trying to focus on, like the rest of the fall ball.
Is it coming together the way you guys hoped it would?
Yeah. All three levels. I like, we got a lot of energetic young guys, I would say, especially in the safety room. I love them. They're playing hard, playing downhill and fast. So that's one of the big things. The linebackers flying around. I love that group. And the D-line, the loudest, toughest bunch that there is. So that's one of the big things that I love about them, too.
You weren't around here for last year, but the stopping the run was such an epic struggle for those guys last year. How have you guys improved in that regard as you go into the new season?
Every single day we actually have to do tackle circuit. So that's one of the big things, big factors. And, like even our practice reps, one thing I try to focus on, tagging the near hip. That's one of the big things that we all been trying to focus on, especially in film. So Coach Jennings lets us know if we're right or wrong. Our fits, if it's right or wrong, you just got to watch film and harp on the little things, and we should be all good.
You talk about a lot of new faces and a lot of new stories, but let me ask you, what is the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself from last year to this year as a player and a person as well?
The biggest thing I learned about myself, last year I was at a small school, and I would say I kind of separated myself from the team, I would say, especially towards the end of the year. We were just falling apart. And one of the big things that I'm trying to harp on, I'm trying to be closer to everybody, just being an interpersonal person with everybody, especially the freshmen, because they're new to this. So just sitting down, get to know them, hanging out, especially outside of football. It doesn't matter how long. Matter of fact, I take a bunch of them home. So that's like one of the big things I try to do.
One of those veteran guys on this team is Rich Tejada. How have you gotten to know him, and has he been an influence on you since you got him?
Yeah. Rich, he actually, he was when I came on my visit, he drove me around. We had like a real good conversation. He's down to earth. You can talk to him pretty much about anything. Anytime I see him, we just have a good conversation. Like the other day, I went down there and got to talk to him for a smooth 10, 15 minutes and, spill the beans of what we want to accomplish, his goals, like his future goals, NFL, all that. So it's just been a blessing to having him here.
How's the transition been from Ohio Dominican to North Texas? Not big from the area, as part of the same school.
It was, at first it seemed like it would be a little wavy. I'm going into the situation by myself, but I would say it's just the people around me that made it better. I got there and I was welcomed with open arms. My roommates helped me get everywhere. The first day I didn't have a car, so whoever I asked to get a ride, they drove me around, and we all got to get closer just doing that, giving each other rides and showing me where to eat, the best places in town, little things, and it's just been fun, and it's been like an enjoyable ride ever since.
What initially kind of drew you to transfer to North Texas, and how has the adjustment been?
I would say the thing that led me to transfer to North Texas, big factor, just family, like what it felt like. You got to have them deep conversations. I went to other places, and a lot of the guys I tried to talk to, and it's my last year, so it's just like what their goals are. It was Ridge's last ride, I got to talk to them on my visit. They want to go all in, so I bought in that moment. And then I would say just the coaches in general, Coach Jennings, he's a good dude, faith-oriented, and that's like something I want, especially someone who's been here for a long time. So he really blessed me with the opportunity to be in the position I'm in.
North Texas has one of the best top offenses last year in college football. You've been able to go against some of those guys, including Chandler Morris. How have they been kind of able to sharpen your skills and in that overall position group?
Those guys are elite. Receiver core, elite. Chandler, elite. He's been giving me great looks, reading me off little things. So I've been trying to learn from them, matter of fact, because they play with the best of the best, and I'm just trying to get up to their level.
How's it been on the field transition-wise, competing at the D1 level as well?
Originally, it was a lot faster, but I got situated really quick. I just learned from film, the vets, and they kind of pushed me into the position where I am. So I just got to learn to play fast. Every game, I got to warm myself up, get prepared, and I think it should go all smooth.
Since live tackling started earlier this week, has anybody kind of stepped up?
I would say Shane. I love Shane. I got to talk to him. He's a new linebacker. He's a good dude. He flies around, so that's one of the big guys. A lot of the young linebackers have been flying around. Young safeties, Hammonds, Q, everybody's been flying around, so those are the names off the top of my head.
Coach Omar's talked a lot about snaps played when having safeties this offseason. How do you feel like your experience at a lot of Allied and then again your veteran leadership will help this team going forwards?
Well, I played pretty much every down and distance, every formation, everything in general. So it's, it helps me adapt really quickly to what we're learning. I played corner, I played linebacker. They even had me play D-end a few times. So, when you get them reps, you actually get to figure out the whole defense. It just made it a lot easier for me, especially working the plays out, little things, coming downhill, fitting my fits, stuff like that.
You're going to the first scrimmage of fall camp. What are you kind of looking forward to in yourself?
Myself, I'm just looking to do my job. That's one of the big factors, doing my job, playing sound, stopping the run. That's the biggest factor for us, just playing hard and with excitement and energy.
How has it been being the vet, but also being the prioritized and, Jayden and Evan being the returners for last season, but simultaneously the spring sophomores? How has it worked with that dynamic?
I'm the vet, yes, but they're the vet in the room, so we clicked instantly, honestly. I love those guys. Matter of fact, I would say some of the safeties are the hardest working people that I've been around. They push me. Matter of fact, Jayden the other day in the weight room, he's the one who's telling me to put some more weight on the bar. When we hit the field, they're the ones that are encouraging me. So that's one of the big things that I like about them. And I try to give the energy right back to them. I want to see them make plays, and I want to see myself make plays.
You kind of talked a little bit earlier, but just what have been your favorite matchups against the offense this fall?
I would say my matchup personally, I love guarding Ward and Blair. Those two are elite receivers. They got some of the best hands in the game, I would say. So just playing against them. And then Chandler, he always throw the ball in the money. That's one of the little things. There's a lot of young freshman receivers that I would say are really nice too. So I hope to see them on the field. But those are my two main factors right now.
You kind of touched on your faith a little bit. How has your faith really guided you through this whole journey thus far?
I would say faith is first for me, especially, I had to pray for the situation. I prayed literally when I got into the portal because there was a lot of uncertainty. I didn't know where I was going to be. I had to give it to God. There was a point where I had to give up pretty much everything because in that situation, I had nothing. So I was just grateful for the opportunity that North Texas gave me. And, they have a lot of faith-based organization around here, Athletes in Actions. I got to connect with them, matter of fact, first. He was one of the first people who reached out to me when I got here on campus, took me to church, took me out to eat, and he's just been trying to lead me to do the right things.
How did you feel when you got that call from North Texas and that offer?
I think I got a call on a Wednesday. I remember I was getting close to reaching my decision. And I told my dad, that was probably the most excited I've seen him in my life. My dad, he was excited. So really, I was excited. I was ready to be down here. I felt like it was a great opportunity to come to Texas. It's a beautiful place, a beautiful opportunity, a lot of opportunities. And I think it really did change my life, matter of fact.
All right. So how's it going with Farman?
It's going good. It's a lot of fun today. Got to come back after a long day yesterday, let's be honest. Came back today with a lot more energy. And I thought we put together a good day today.
Have there been any guys in that linebacker room that have kind of impressed you up to this point in camp?
Oh, definitely. We're obviously glad to have Jordan Brown come back and working again. Shane Witter's been a great addition. JJ's working. Blake Fan is a guy I'm really, really high on. He's been doing a lot of good stuff. He's been real physical in the box, and I think we're going to see some good stuff out of him in the very near future.
How's the defense coming together just as a whole over the course?
It's going good. We're a lot tighter as a unit right now than last year. We came together a lot over this, the spring and the summer break. We spent a lot more time together, and it helped us. You could tell the communication's easier. I know what the back end's going to call before they even call it. I know what Rob Brown's saying up front before he even calls it. So it feels like we know it. We're all on the same page a lot of the time.
Is that maybe the thing that's going to make the difference, especially in terms of stopping the run? That was such a struggle last year.
For sure. Knowing where your help is what defense is all about, right? So it's when I know that my safeties behind me are coming down to help, man, it makes it a lot easier to be able to play fast and downhill. And then knowing that my guys in front of me are going to do their job and be in their gap makes it a lot easier to play downhill.
As a player on the field, a big focus has been about how the personnel fits the scheme better. How has it just felt without being out there?
Can you restate that for me?
Oh, yeah. A big focus has been out. This year's personnel fits better with this team. As a person on the field, what have you just got to say about how the defense operates a little smoother?
Personnel-wise, I think we're a lot faster. We're a lot smarter, too. So that's a big deal. Because in this scheme, you got to make a lot of checks. You got to make a lot of adjustments even after the ball's been snapped. And so we had some great guys in the secondary and some guys up front that have really helped us, and even in the linebacker room. You know, we've added speed, we've added intelligence, and we've gotten a lot bigger up front over the spring.
You don't feel some development as well. What have you kind of focused on adding a year or two in this defense?
For me, a big deal was open field tackling, and so I spent a lot of time with Coach Kagans and Coach Summers over the spring, just working on how to take air out of defenders or runners, and then another one would be just in the box, being able to take my gap and be able to fall out and make other plays.
Your first game this year is at 4 o'clock at South Alabama. How do you feel like y'all have adjusted to the heat so far and preparing for that type of atmosphere in the game?
Well, I've spent 21 years in Texas, and I can say it's the hottest place. It gets hot, it gets humid, and we practice it every day. Yesterday was a beater. We're going to practice tomorrow at 4 o'clock, which is the same kickoff time as South Alabama. So, we're doing great things to prepare for it, and I think whatever we see in South Alabama, we're going to be completely ready for.
You mentioned, tomorrow you got the scrimmage. Are there any areas of your game that you're trying to test tomorrow in that scrimmage?
For sure. How fast can I see something, know what's coming, and how can I make a play before it even has a chance to develop, honestly.
Are you just excited to get out there and see what it looks like in a scrimmage now that you got a little time this fall?
For sure. We spent a lot of time in here and on that field right there, going over schemes, doing all this stuff, and I'm excited to let it loose and play a little ball tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's such a struggle against the run last year. You feel like you guys will be better in that regard this year, and why?
Like I said earlier, we've added a lot of size up front, and we added some intelligence up front, which I think was a soft spot last year. And we've got guys that just, every day, I know what they're doing, and I know what I'm doing, so it's been easy to kind of mesh, and doing that has been able to stop the run.
You guys have a little chip on your shoulder defensively after last year?
I wouldn't say as much of a chip. I don't personally like when people say chip on their shoulder, but I feel like we have an edge to come back and to prove to a lot of people out there that last year was last year. We're not really focused on that, and we want to come out this year and stop the run and prove to everyone that we can do what we say we can do.
Preparing leaders seems like it's one of the principles here. How do you feel like you've grown as a leader?
I feel like I've grown a lot. Last year I was thrown into a role as a starter pretty early. I was only 20 years old. And between now and then, not only did I know everyone in the locker, I feel like I got to know them personally. I gained a lot of respect from everybody. I feel like that's allowed me to, when I say something, it carries a little more weight, and it's met with a good response, it's met with respect, and we've been able to be more productive on the field off of that.
How was it last year being thrown in as a redshirt freshman on defense?
Personally, it was a lot of fun. You grow up as a kid wanting to play as soon as you get there. Nobody wants to sit on the bench behind somebody for 3 years. But when you take a step back, you got to realize the position you're in and, one, be grateful for it. And two, you got to then step up and rise to the challenge because maybe you weren't ready, maybe you were. But now you're here, so now you got to respond to it.
Reflecting on your performance last year, how would you kind of evaluate that? What were the biggest lessons that you took away from it?
This game's a lot faster. High school ball, you can go out there and dominate. This game moves fast and nobody's waiting for you. Spent a lot of time last year in the film room because I might have been undersized. I might have been not as fast as the other guys, so I had to know what was coming. I feel like that's helped me this year even more. But, takeaways from last year, like I said earlier, I was trying to work on my open field tackling a lot in the summer, so it's helped me a lot.
What are your kind of personal goals heading into this year?
I'd be very grateful to be voted as a team captain. That would be awesome. Personally, I'd like to, 1, be the starter, 2, see 100 tackles. I feel like that's a very high mark, and I feel like I'm able to get there. If I just do it, I'm able to do it, and know that I can do it.
You've been able to see in practice some pretty good quarterbacks from North Texas, and you've been able to play against some good quarterbacks last year. What has Chandler Morris kind of shown you, and how have you been able to learn from what he's been doing with y'all's defense?
Chandler's a great guy and an even better quarterback. He does a lot of good things. He's able to look off safeties, look off second level defenders to get back to his primary read. We're still adapting to that day in and day out. We can't he can't exactly go out there and tackle anybody right now, but let's see. I'm trying to give you an example here. He'll look into the boundary. He'll kind of pump fake, which for us, it's a key to break. And so you get that one crossover step, and he comes back to his read from the field that he wanted the whole time, really, and he hits that on the run. And he does a lot of good stuff, but we really have to sit in and hone into our keys and trust what we see.
One of the veteran leaders on these teams for years has been Ridge Hot, and he's going into his last year. I haven't played with him for a couple of years now. What influence has he had on you, and how have you seen him kind of grow over the course of time?
Yeah, for sure. Ridge, I never really got to interact a lot with Ridge my early years. I did a lot last year. He was, we never really mixed with positions, right? He was a DB, I'm a linebacker. But we talked a lot, and he always taught me that no matter what happens at a play, man, you could get truck sticked, you could truck stick someone. It doesn't matter, you got to get up and go play the next play. And he was always able to get up, go play the next play, no matter what happened. So I watched him over my redshirt year, watched him do that play after play, and it influenced me today.
What the line segment's been so far, not just
Like the team parts?
yeah, when you guys attacking out there, the swap it.
What about them?
How has it been out there, being able to finally attack one?
Oh, it feels good. You sit around all summer and you're like, man, we're the pads. We're out there running. We're out there over here lifting. So to be able to have all that energy and just come together as a unit and tackle, there's not a lot of things like it out there.